Hi, I'm Captain Larry Bell with Texas Fishing Tips, and this is your weekly fishing report.
Down here, Mesquite Bay, Cedar Bayou, playing the flats. It's back in this area here, Cedar Flat, if you will. All the way down, all the way into Cedar Bayou. Cedar Bayou is flowing well. Uh, Water flows coming through. The water looks great. It's going to do anything that Mesquite Bay area and the surrounding bays. Both Ayers and Carlos are going to be great receivers of this water system that's coming through here. This bay coming in from the Gulf. Work these areas well. There's bait that's working up and down this shoreline. There's redfish, trout being caught up and down in this area here. The mouth, if you get out of your boat, wade these areas down here. The water temp's beautiful right now. It's in the mid to upper 60s, which is absolutely perfect water temp. These fish are still active. They're still a little bit on their summertime pattern because we haven't had a cold enough front push through. They're really going to get them into that feeding frenzy and push these fish off of these hard-packed sand areas and shell bar areas. So those are still going to be points of emphasis that you're going to want to target still until we get some cold enough fronts to really push them to get to these feeding frenzies for these trout and redfish to do that. So that said, get up and down this shoreline here into Cedar Bayou as you work your way back to the mouth. You can anchor up on the side. You can get out and wade. The current that's coming through there is really good. So it's really advantageous for you in those areas to work all that. Locate where your bait's working up and down this area. If you want to get all the way up to the mouth, you're not going to be able to get through it completely, but you can put your boat on the side and you can wade up there to it or walk across the sand if you want to fish the Gulf side or if you want to fish the cut through. That is accessible for you to be able to do that. But again, work all these areas up and down here on both sides of the mouth of Cedar. On the back side to the right hand side if you're coming out of Cedar, the left hand side if you're going into Cedar, that back shoreline with the access point with the bait that's flowing through there, and that bait, the fish are going to flow right with them. They're going to follow the bait system. They're going to come through there with them. So all these areas, not going, like I say earlier, it's going to get better and better as we head through the winter months. As we get into the springtime, this will be areas that we're going to really want to target. Again, until we get some colder fronts to push through to get these fish into a feeding frenzy, these are the areas that you're really going to want to target. Up in here in St. Charles Bay, get across the shoreline across from the boat ramp that's there. Get on this other far shoreline here. Work all this. Wade this whole area. Work the deeper grass. Work your knee deep to thigh deep. Double D for trout and redfish has been outstanding in this area here. Whatever double D that you want to throw, just work that if you're familiar with having to work the double D. Your plastics, supermodel in both Magic Grass. The Chicken of the Sea have been good. Another one that's been good is the High Cotton. That is a specialty bait that you won't be able to probably find it in the store. You may have to call down south to get that, but that is their bait. It is a specialty, and it has been outstanding, especially with this little bit clearer water that we've had because we've had such calm weather the last couple of days or weeks, or should I say. So until we have a front that's really going to come in here and push to make things change, all these areas here have been really good. Good bait, good grass, work it all the way up to Egg Point around the Boy Scout camp, all that area down in there. The gators, be aware of those. They are still around. I have not seen any in the water, but that doesn't mean they're not close to the water. That once the water temp usually gets below that 65-degree mark, they're less apt to get in the water with you or around you. So there's still something to be aware of if you're going to wade these areas. Just keep your head on a swivel. It hadn't been an issue, but that said, you never know. But anyway, continue to work all these areas. Look for your bait. There's been some nice trout being caught out here, good box trout. Some upper slot trout have been pulled out of here as well, or being caught anyway, and those are being released. Redfish have been really good in here, especially with the High Cotton and the Chicken of the Sea. Everything on supermodel. A few things with the burner shad have been pretty good, but the supermodel has been most productive, along with the double D. Also, throw your topwater bait. Again, a topwater bait's been really good. A lot of activity with it, working these shorelines. You got these deeper grass beds. You can work that topwater over those areas, and you'll get nice results with that. Continue to work them. Work Cavasso Creek. If you want to get in the very back of St. Charles back there, there's a lot more mud back there, so be careful when you get out and wade that. It's much softer than some of these areas are. But when we get the fronts that come in, those are areas that you're going to want to target. Again, we still got kind of a summertime pattern that's kicking with these fish, and that's the areas that you really kind of need to work at or to work on to locate your fish. Over here in Turtle Pen, off this point, all around in front of these back lake mouths around this area here, all up and around here in the back side of this, work these guts that come out of these back lakes. Again, duck season still in play, so be aware of that if you got duck blinds that are around those areas, which there are. Just make sure you don't have any decoys that are sitting out in front of them, because more than likely you're going to have a hunter sitting in there, so just be aware of that. Come around to this point, work this little cliff area that's right here on this back side of Shell Point, going into Turtle Pen area, and then back into here where these other back lakes are. There's been some nice redfish being pulled out of here, some mid to upper slot redfish at that, pretty heavy. Get back in these areas here, work this back shoreline. The main thing that's been the ticket here has been the supermodel in the down south, in both the high cotton, the magic grass, chicken of the sea. Purple rain's been okay. Again, your double D has been good here, and again, the double D, it really doesn't matter. I like the darker colors of the double D, so you can pull out like the orange or gringo or one of those flavors that are that way, and really work this, because some of that water gets kind of clear, so those baits are really good for that type of area. Translucent bait, if you see that water is like super clear, throw that. That'll be something that's productive for you. Topwater bait, again, Spook Junior, Skitterwalk, She-Dog, any one of those that you like. Make sure it's just got a white belly to it or a silver belly on there. Most of your bait fish all has that type of belly on it, but there's been active bait that's back in here. Again, redfish have been good back in here. Work this whole back shoreline, big old grass flat that's back here. Get on top of that thing and work it. Work your baits in there. If the grass is too much for you to deal with, again, rig it up weedless. Get you either 4 or 5/0 hook and put through that supermodel. It works really good. Gives nice clearance from that plastic, so you can set the hook on those. 16th ounce jig heads I have switched to now, pretty much primarily, so that bait really has an opportunity to linger in that water, so you don't have to really worry about getting it down in the water. So get off of the 1/8 ounce, get to your 16th ounce, so you can really control your depth with your plastics in here. The double D is an ascending bait, so that'll help you with that as well. The other thing that we need to pay attention to is your majors and minors. Always incorporate that in your fishing day. We're on the backside of a new moon. Got about another 4 to 5 days where that's going to be, production-wise, is going to be good, and then you'll have to transition starting to head into that full moon, and then we'll make changes at that point in time. But for right now, the bigger baits, pay attention to your fronts. We got some that are moving our way, not sure quite when they're going to get here, but make sure you pay attention to those, because wind becomes an issue back here in Copano, especially when it's blowing out of the north. So make sure you pay attention to that, find your bait, work these areas on these edges back here, and you'll be productive.
Thanks for watching. I'm Captain Larry Bell.